Hey, welcome to the season finale of Crypts, and it is time to do part 3 of our 3-part finale where we're touring our entire collection of 10 years. That's right. So if some people looking at this and like, man, I wanted to collect, and then I saw that collection, it's like, nope, not gonna bother. You always start out small, and here's a picture to prove it. These are the 6 figures that we won on eBay. And don't forget, you're watching the video, drop a like. If you're not subscribed, please do that, and check out all of our other content, because it's not just collectibles. There's reviews, there's interviews, and it's almost the 31 days of Halloween, so we got a lot of cool things that are in store for that. Alright, so let's dive into some things. The first thing that we're going to talk about is this Leatherface door cover from Spirit Halloween. They don't sponsor the video, just have a lot of cool stuff that I buy that we have here. So when I first saw this, we had to cover the door up, and we were looking for something that was really cool. We found the Leatherface sliding open the door from part 1, and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool, let's get it. Typically, these door covers are like the plastic, vinyl. You get it over there, it doesn't last that long, falls off the door. This is like a single bed sheet. It's cloth, has elastic around the sides, goes on the door nicely. Looks pretty sick. Once I put this up and posted pictures around social media with it, people were like, alright, you showed us the door, we see some shelves, let's see the entire collection. So that's why Crypts is back, because I posted a picture of this going up, and it's won the whole entire season of Crypts. So we're going to take a look at some stuff over here on the wall. This wall here leads to Arcade Alley, which is currently shut off. But what we have on the wall is one of our first signature pieces. This is Neca's Friday the 13th Jason mask. It is signed by a lot of people. Everybody that's played Jason has a signature on there, with the exception of Richard Booker. Fortunately, he passed on, so he is not on there, but we have everybody else. So this mask is essentially complete. Below that, we have the mask worn by Otis in Devil's Rejects 2. This is a NECA replica, and it is signed by Bill Moseley. Next, we're going to look at the posters leading to Arcade Alley. So we're going to start with the middle one. The reason being, this is the 2002 Spider-Man poster with Tobey Maguire, and it is a replica of the poster that was released when he is sitting perched between the Twin Towers. Now, if you don't remember, there was also a Twin Towers promo video that got quickly cut after 9/11.
Clint, shut her down.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain calm. Get your head down, get your head down. It'll all be over in about 30 seconds. Go, 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 go! Clear! Okay, go, come on! Go, 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 go! Woo! Like candy from a baby. Yeah! Sit back and enjoy the ride. Yeah!
friend Brian had it, and he always said that if he wasn't going to hang it and he was going to get rid of it, he would give it to me. So he gave it to me. If I find out that it's real, I have to give it back to him because that's the right thing to do. Next to that, did not plan on getting these, but we came across them over at Monstars, which is also aka Amok Time Toys. There'll be a link in the description because a lot of this stuff that I have in my collection is from them. But he had originals, one-sheet posters for Batman and Batman Returns. Loved those movies as a kid. It was all about Batman in '89 through the mid-90s, especially when you got the Batman animated series. So saw these two and it's like, oh, makes sense. I have the Spider-Man poster, let me get the Batman posters up next to him. On this side, what we have is our wall of signatures. Now, it's very rare that Jen and I get photos signed or a mini poster signed because a lot of people do that. So, as I mentioned in our first video, or maybe even in the last video, if we were to ever get in trouble, the reason why we don't have things personalized is so, hey, look, I can go ahead and sell this stuff off and make a pretty penny off of it. So, what we have here is some real weapons that are signed, starting with our Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Freddy Krueger glove, and that's signed by the Dream Warriors and Freddy himself. Love that. It is by Nightmares Unlimited. Below that is the second cast signed prop that we got, and that is the ghost face mask. It has currently 12 to 13 signatures on it. We're about to get another 2 added on it. I don't know where we're going to fit it, but online right now, so you remember I was just mentioning that if we ever got in trouble, we sell this off. Online right now, this mask with 8 or 9 signatures goes for almost $4,000. So I almost have double that, so you can imagine what that's going to go for. To the left of that, from Mac the Knife Man, a good friend of mine, we're going to talk about something else that he added to our collection. But this is the buck knife replica from the movie. It's real, so if my girls ever get in trouble, they can whip, break the glass, pull the knife, and do what they got to do to defend themselves. But that we're hoping to get signed by Ghostface himself, Lee Waddell, which we had on our channel doing an interview not too long ago. So check that out. I had to squeeze myself back here for the rest of this part, but up top we have the bone saw from American Mary that is signed by the Saska sisters. Let me tell you, if you've never touched the blade of a bone saw, don't. It's really sharp. I didn't think that was going to be a real bone saw, so I put my thumb on it and it's like, oh boy, if I were to put the slightest of pressure on that, it's going through my finger. That is super sharp. So love that piece. Below that is another Nightmares Unlimited Freddy Krueger glove.
This is God.
Now this is something that Jen and I saw, I think, at our first or second Monster Mania in Hunt Valley. And I put it on my hand, almost got it stuck on my hand, but I fell in love with it because it's real. The blades are real. It's amazing. The detail is fantastic. In fact, if you go and look for an old woman on horror video, my son does a review on it. But this is signed by a few of the cast members from Nightmare on Elm Street 1. So, of course, Robert Englund, which we have like 6 or 7 of his signatures. Had the Langenkamp, the mom, and then we also have Tina. So we just need 2 more signatures on it, and that is pretty much done.
On the wall, we have a My Bloody Valentine poster signed by the miner himself, Harry Warden, played by Peter Cowper. Then we have a nun poster signed by Bonnie Aarons. Certainly not scary in real life. Actually, she is really nice. Hopefully they do this character some justice in The Conjuring 4, because I just do not like the films that they have come out for her. Then we have a picture of Kristen Renton from Sons of Anarchy. Now, guys, I know what you're thinking. It's not my photo, it's actually my daughter's photo. So when they were 4 and 5, we took them to Chiller. It was the first con that we went to as a family, and they saw her and wanted to go up to her and tell her how beautiful she was. And in return, Kristen gave them a pic of any of the pictures on her table, which she would have signed for free. that's the picture they chose. It was a big joke amongst the Sons of Anarchy cast, and hey, it is what it is. We then have a Tom Atkins signed Night of the Creeps tin signed, a Felissa Rose signed photo, then a Christy Swanson signed Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which is also my daughter's, Gunnar Hansen signed photo from a zombie pub crawl that Jen and I did. Then of course there's the Daniel Harris signed photo. Next to that is a signed photo of the Man Who Can't Breathe from Insidious Chapter 3, portrayed by Michael Reed McKay, who also played the Mummy in Monster Squad and Jason Stryker in X2. Shocked? I know we were when we connected all the dots of the films that he was in. This guy is just pure talent when it comes to on-screen creatures and characters that he plays. Below that is a Jennifer Carpenter signed Quarantine poster, followed by a Night of the Living Dead 2 poster, which is directed by Marcus Slaybine, who is looking to secure funding so that he can make the film. Then we have a John Carpenter and Wilfred Brimley signed Thing poster, and a Barbara Hershey signed The Entity picture. Now this is one of Jen's all-time favorite films. Then lastly, we have a Eugene Clark Big Daddy from the Land of the Dead picture. This guy is awesome. He comes in character when he goes to cons, and I'm not gonna ruin the surprise for you, so go ahead and get a picture with them and see what happens. You'll thank me afterwards.
Now we move on to the first cabinet and some stuff that's above it. Now I told you all in the first episode in Crypts that when I opened up that This Is Art box set, I was going to try to figure out how to go ahead and set up a cabinet full of Art the Clown stuff. And I said that Jen would probably be pissed off if I did an entire cabinet of it. Now she gets to hear that I'm saying that. But I don't have enough stuff for a full cabinet. But I do have a lot of stuff from Art the Clown. So we looked at the This Is Art box set. But here's a cool piece that not many people are going to have. So there was a Terrifier 1 and 2 screening at Smod Castle. Now, Smod Castle is owned by Kevin Smith of Clerks fame, and it is in Red Bank, New Jersey. So he did a screening of Part 1 and Part 2 and a Q&A afterwards with the cast from both movies. Jen, how much was that ticket?
They were like 20 each.
$20, 2 movies, Q&A. We were there for 6 hours, maybe a little bit longer. And this cool thing that you see here that I just showed you, that is the limited edition exclusive ticket that you get signed by Kevin Smith for the event. Now, he does these events for other things too. So he's done it for Avengers 1 and 2. He's done it for a bunch of other films where he gets the directors to come in and he gets actors to come in and does Q&As and screenings of the film. So if you are ever in New Jersey, take a look and see what he's got going on there. Because if he's got a cool event, it's definitely worth checking out. And he has the best movie intro video of all time because Jay and Silent Bomb telling you all the rules of the theater. It's funny as hell. So we've seen This Is Art, the collector set. We saw the Bloodbath art figure. Here is the VHS from Terrifier. This is from Pro Car Fan. And then this is probably one of our crown jewels. It is a slate signed by the cast of Terrifier 2. Now, I do need to get Felissa Rose's signature on this. It'll be the 4th time that we get her signature. And that'll make her like number 3 on our list of most signatures that we have. But it has Damien Leone, David Howard Thornton, Lauren Lavera. It has the entire cast on here. And I love this thing.
Except the mom.
Except the mom, yes. So we missed out on getting that signature on there. But my buddy Marcus is a producer on this film. He got some of the signatures for us. And then we picked up some other ones at the conventions that we go to. And that slate is something that I got to do on their Follow a Film stream. So got to be on set with my wife during production of Stream, which is coming out eventually, but the strike has kind of halted that a little bit. And I got to be slate guy for a night, which was pretty cool. Now the thing that doesn't make sense with this here is the Crystal Lake newspaper article, which we got in Blairstown during a Friday the 13th event. I have to vomit bags from Terrifier that I have to display above here, but I'm trying to figure out the right way to display them. So that's right there.
We have two small cabinets. This first one contains more of the spooky figures and some zombie figures. So up on the top shelf, we're seeing some NECA figures here, starting with the Conjuring universe. We have the Nun cloth figure, first cloth figure I ever bought. The Crooked Man. Not a big fan of this figure. It looks awesome, but it struggles to keep things in its hand, and it tends to fall on occasion. And then in the back right hand corner, we have the Annabelle figure. In the center, we have the Exorcist Reagan Possessed Deluxe box set, which came across it for like $20, I think maybe 6 years ago. Now it goes for around $400 to $500. And then we have the Cult Classics Exorcist Spiderwalk Reagan, another great figure. Love that. Now you'll see that there's two rocks in that cabinet, and those rocks are actually from the Exorcist steps and the house. Then we have a vampire stake. So you saw the Christy Swanson Buffy the Vampire Slayer poster that was signed to my daughters. This is mine. This is the wooden stake to stake vampire signed by her. Okay, and in the shelf below that, we have the McFarlane Sleepy Hollow Headless Horseman 3-piece set that is signed by Christina Ricci. Far back corner, we have the Blair Witch from Movie Maniacs. Then we have this awesome statue from The Halloween that is signed by Dee Wallace. It is by Homemade Horror. We have Eric Draven towards the back, and then we have the Movie Maniacs Sam, Razorblade Holly Ho Candy Bar, and then of course we have the Lollipop. Final shelf in this case has Shaun and Ed from Shaun of the Dead, which are cult classics. Behind that is Amok Time, the Return of the Living Dead Tar Man. To the right of that, we see Cherry Darling and Dakota Block from Planet Terror. And then we have our Big Daddy action figure from Land of the Dead. And then, of course, NECA's Dr. Herbert West.
I've broken the 6 to 12 minute barrier. I've conquered brain death.
His experiments have always been unorthodox.
It was dead.
But lately, they're getting out of hand.
Mr. West.
You'll never get credit for my discovery. Who's going to believe a talking head? Get a job in a sideshow.
Now, above the Gremlins, which we'll talk about in a second, is a sign that we made to start collecting Nightmare on Elm Street signatures from the entire franchise. So this is some artwork that I found online, and it has a lot of, as Robert Englund would say, Freddy's bitches on here, including the mom, Heather Langenkamp, a lot of the cast members from various different films. Below this is the start of our Gremlins collection. If you didn't get a chance to see it, did the review on the Bat Gremlin. I did an unboxing of that. Told you I was going to hang him, so that's the only way that he should be displayed. We have the Spider Gremlin, which I got from Amok Toys. And then we have this cool little accessory pack that comes with Gizmo in the Barbie card.
Everyone needs Gizmo in the Barbie card.
Yes, we got to get that exclusive Cinemark popcorn Barbie card so we can put our other Gizmo in it, and you'll see what we're talking about in a second.
In our other small cabinet, it is more Gremlin stuff. Now, originally we started out with just the smaller Gizmo and Stripe, and that's all we were going to get. And it has since multiplied into everything that we have here. So on the top shelf, we have the Santa Stripe, which I covered earlier in the season. Then we have the 4 carolers in the back. There's Stripe, as I mentioned, and then there is Stripe as a Mogwai. A shelf down, we have really the ones that we kind of started out with. So there is gizmo from Neca that has multiple faces that you can change it with. You have the movie theater gremlins, which I have several of. In the far back, we have one of the gremlins from the bar with the puppet, and then of course the flasher gremlin. Now, before I talk about the new batch gremlins, in the back, Olympic stripe, and I have to say I hate this figure. Wish I never got it because the mask never stays on. It's just a pain, this one. The new batch gremlins. So we have Lenny, George, and Daffy, and then some brown gremlin in the back. These are cool figures. I actually like the quality a little bit better in these figures than the newer ones that they have released. Now, I don't know if anybody else has problems with the NECA figures, but they don't stand that well. So what the owner of Amok Toys had recommended is to get poster putty, put it on the bottom of their feet, and then stick them to whatever you're looking to have them stand on.
We have Sam, which is an animatronic that does not go outside because it's Sam, and I love Sam, one of the 3 best slashers that have been introduced in the last 20 years. We have our first ever Nightmare on Elm Street signed poster. We have some bobbleheads from Spencer's, Hot Topic, or FYE. They're from somewhere, but love these little guys. I'm not going to get too many of them because they've gone up like $6 in price since they started coming out, so $40 is a little bit much for a bobblehead. We have the handbook for the recently deceased from Beetlejuice, and then of course we have the Death Note book from Death Note, the anime. My daughter was very excited to get me that for Christmas. Some vomit bags. This is 3 of the 4 from Terrifier 2. One of our first Halloween decorations as a couple, which is the ghost face mask, which has now made it into the office. And then that brings us to the first 2 things that we've ever got signed, and this is what prompted us to start buying signatures. So we're gonna start with Walking Dead. Now, when we didn't have that much money, we had 4 kids, working the 9 to 5, or me working the 7 to 6 hours, Norman Reedus was coming up to Chiller. And we're like, hey, let's kind of figure out bills as we're going along, and let's just do things. So we did some aquariums for the entire year because aquarium passes in Baltimore for the entire year for a family pass is dirt cheap. And then looking at museums in DC, free. So you just have gas, pack a lunch, and you're good to go. So we went and did Chiller. Had nothing to get signed, but Norman Reedus was going to be there. That was my wife's favorite character on The Walking Dead. My daughters were 4 and 5, or 3 and 4 at the time, and they didn't watch The Walking Dead, but they were excited because my wife was excited. So I was like, hey, I got this Walking Dead shirt, let's just get it signed. This is signed by 20 different cast members. And there's one signature on there that we have that made me feel bad about having this shirt signed, and the Sons of Anarchy shirt. And that is the actress that played Deanna.
Who's Deanna?
She looked at the shirt and she's like, oh, wow, you got a t-shirt signed. And she kind of complained about the t-shirt and signing it the whole entire time because it's like, oh, well, you have to stretch it a certain way. She just went on and on about it. So I almost felt bad for having a t-shirt signed with the cast members and then seeing things along the years that other people had signed with cast members on it too. But then there was other cast members that look at the shirt and have said, oh my god, this is really awesome. So you had Jesus from The Walking Dead that really loved the signature, and then you had the person that played Aaron who looked at it and really appreciated
Ross Marquand.
Yes, him. So he looked at the shirt and he said that was pretty amazing. So we had other cast members that made us feel good about having the shirt signed because that's not something that they've seen often, and they felt that it was different. The one big difference about this one too is it has Norman Reedus' full signature on there, and every cast member that signs it always finds that one first and says, oh look, you got Norman Reedus, before he started signing his initials. 4 to 5 hour wait just to get Norman Reedus' signature on it. My daughters,
it was worth it.
and my daughters did fantastic at that age.
Yeah.
Then the Sons of Anarchy shirts, almost the entire cast has signed that too. So we just need Gemma, to sign it, Katie Seagal. And I think that's it.
Tara.
Oh, and Tara. Yes, Tara has to sign it too. Now we're moving on to the cabinets, starting with...
It was 40 years ago where we first met Ash Williams, a young man who in the middle of a nightmarish trip to a cabin finds the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, the Book of the Dead. Now, with a chainsaw, a rifle, and an axe, Ash Williams will have to fight for his life against the Necronomicon. Against the Evil Dead. The Evil Dead 40th Anniversary Ultimate Ash Williams action figure comes with everything you see here from Neca.
So up top we have the Kandarian dagger from Neca. This was a Father's Day gift. This looks great displayed. It has some weight to it. Jen doesn't know it, but I think we're gonna get this signed if we have the opportunity to see Bruce Campbell again. Before we go down into the cabinet, right here we have a cast signed Bloody Summer Camp mug. So this has Felissa Rose, this has Dave Sheridan, it has Dave Kerr, it has the entire cast on it. Great film, we've talked about it a few times on this channel, so if you have not seen it, go check it out. Now on the first shelf, we have a mix of Bruce Campbell figures. So this is not solely Evil Dead, I kind of lied there, because we have Bubba Hotep and the Mummy on the top shelf. We have the 40th anniversary of Ash with both his hands. Then the 30th anniversary of Evil Dead 2 box set, where we have Ash versus Deadite Ed. We have the cloth version of Evil Ash, and then the Evil Dead 2 Ash figure as well from Neca. On the shelf below, Movie Maniacs Ash versus Evil Ash from Army of Darkness. Now, not a big fan of McFarlane, and we'll talk about that when we get over to the Walking Dead case. We have the Ash versus Evil Dead figure, and you see behind there the cheese grater, which we plan to have signed at this upcoming Monster Mania. Next to that is the S-Mart Ash from the end of Army of Darkness. Love this figure, it is so cool. Picked it up at Monstars, aka Amok Time Toys. We have the bobblehead Ash that came with the Ash vs. Evil Dead Blu-ray box set. And then finally we have some mini cheese graters that they were giving out at the last Monster Mania to promote the film when it was getting released. Now the shelf below is all the goodies. The NECA Ashy Slashy puppet, which is autographed by Ray Santiago, who played Pablo, and then we have Dana De Lorenzo, who played Kelly. She is awesome. Then the Necronomicon by Trick or Treat Studios. Now, I always wanted to get one of these. My son has one that is handmade that he spent $400 on. And then to the left of that is Nick's Sawmart's chainsaw. This is signed by Bruce Campbell. He makes the chainsaws, he makes the hand, he just has some great quality products. So I love this chainsaw, and like I mentioned, it is signed by Bruce Campbell himself. And as you can see, we did get a chance to meet him. He has some long lines, so it's in and out. So you get him to sign something, you say quick hello to him, and then that is it. On the top of the next cabinet, you will see what we think are 3 prototype trains. It is for Nightmare on Elm Street, it is for Friday the 13th, and it is for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And why I say these are prototypes is because I can't find any record of them ever being created. Now, they are made by Bradford Exchange's company called Hawthorne Trains. They make MLB train sets, they make NFL train sets, and they even made Universal Monster train sets. So I went through Bradford Exchange. They did some research on it. It looks like these are prototypes that they never ever put into production. Now in the top of this cabinet we have 2 shelves dedicated to Jaws. So what we see here is a canvas newspaper article signed by Richard Dreyfuss. We have the Toonie Terror Jaws, we have the novel, some Amity Island saltwater taffy. No, the taffy's not inside it anymore. We have the 2 NECA cloth figures, which, my god, they need to make Martin Brody, and they need to make Bruce already. They teased us with Bruce how many years ago? He was pretty big, and I guess they're afraid to release him because of the price tag on it, but us Jaws fans will go out there and buy it. We have some novelty licenses from Jaws, and then the Amity Island Police patch. On the shelf below it, we have the license plate that they pull out of the bullhead shark. I've thought about, damaging it and aging it so that it matches the movie, but I haven't done that yet. We then have the SD Toys Jaws Great White 12-inch 3D poster, which is pretty cool. A aquarium Jaws, and we have the Jaws glass, and then we Movie Maniacs Jaws scene. Now, I really wanted this when it first came out, and I think at the time it was going for like $25. Now it goes for a few $100s. So this was a Christmas present from my son. On the shelf below that, we move on to aliens and alien type creatures. So we have Neca Predator, 30th anniversary of Ripley and Newt. I believe it's a Movie Maniac alien because I found it in a flea market and picked it up. Of course, we have the eggs, Nader from They Live, Mac from The Thing, and with the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive behind Mac, which is the poster from the movie, and then another Amok Time toy creation, which is Shorty the Clown from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Now, there is one figure that I do want to add to this, and that is Private Hudson from Aliens, which was played by Bill Paxton. So I love Bill Paxton, so I definitely want to add his figure to the collection. And that brings us to the American Werewolf in London shelf. So on the back, we have an American Werewolf in London signed poster by David Naughton. And we see here the Neca Nazi werewolves that we see in the dream sequence. Now, Neca released them one figure with 4 heads, so I bought this figure 4 times. We have the David Kessler werewolf, which is awesome. Then we have the Toonie Terrors, Jack, and David Kessler werewolf. So hopefully we'll get a NECA Ultimate Jack figure. And then there is this 3D printed David Kessler wolf head, which I thought was pretty cool. Okay, so we're going to talk about McFarlane a little bit earlier than I expected because I forgot about this shelf. And I've tried to talk my wife into let me sell it, but this is her figures. I don't care for McFarlane toys that much. And the reason being is because of the craftsmanship. While the designs sometimes look amazing, when you get into some of these figures, the way their feet and their legs are designed, they don't stand that well. They look crooked at times. So here we have the McFarlane figures for Stranger Things. Another thing that I don't like about some of his licensed figures is that he doesn't finish the lines. And it's not like he loses the license and then stops making them. He just stops making them sometimes, which we'll talk about with The Walking Dead. But you see here we have Season 1 Stranger Things figures, with the exception of Barbara, because I didn't really like her character. Sorry for anybody that was a fan. Then we have the Season 2 Ghostbuster figures, which I got for $5. Brand new in box at GameStop when they were on clearance. Behind them is the Surfer Boy Pizza, and then of course we have the Target exclusives VHS Blu-ray box sets. Again, Season 1, Season 2, where's my Season 3 VHS? Where's my Season 4 VHS? Come on, Target, get on the ball here. And then of course we have the Demogorgon. At the top of the next cabinet, just cheap Camp Crystal Lake sign. It was a Halloween decoration, I like it. So it's up here just to block out the blinds that are up. We have a Movie Maniacs Fly figure. Then these unofficial Lego horror figures. Now this cabinet has become all Universal Monsters. It used to be 2 shelves, and if you saw the first video that we did a few years ago when we were Women of Horror, they were Diamond Select Universal Monster figures that I had. With NECA releasing those figures, I decided to sell the Diamond Select, and good thing I did because the prices drastically dropped when the NECA figures were announced. But here we're going to start on the top shelf with the Diamond Select Big Head Universal Monster figures. This is the full collection. Got it at Mac the Knife Man's shop. and they're pretty cool. I like them. Behind them, you'll see 2 bottles of craft beer. One is Nosferatu beer, and the other one is Werewolf Brown Ale or something like that. I did keep 2 Diamond Select figures. The one you see on the right there is the Wolfman, and that was $80. It was the last one that we needed in the collection at the time. I love the Wolfman, and I love the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and I just couldn't part with those 2. Then we have our Bela Lugosi Dracula bust that came with the Legacy Universal Monster set.
It's the all-new Universal Monsters Dracula Ultimate action figures. Comes with swappable parts and accessories. Accessory set also available from Neca.
On the shelf below it, at the time when Neca made the announcement, I was planning on just buying the black and whites because I already had, like I mentioned, the Diamond Select version figures, and those were in color, but I decided to get rid of those and go with the black and white and the color variants. Now the color variants are going to stay in the boxes as you see. They're going to be behind the black and white variants. So we have Frankenstein, the Mummy, Dracula, which is just an amazing sculpt Dracula, and then the Wolfman on this shelf. And on the shelf below it, we have the Bride of Frankenstein. When I saw her, she was the selling point. I knew that I was going to switch over after seeing this character. So the color variants are in the back, so I'm waiting on the black and white version of Phantom of the Opera, Invisible Man, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. And then you see a couple of IMAX tickets for the rebooted or reimagined Invisible Man. You know, honestly, I think I'm one of the few people. I just did not care for that movie. And maybe it's because I was disappointed because we were promised Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man, and then that whole dark universe fell apart. But yeah, it's okay. It's like the Hollow Man all over again, so that's how I look at that film. On the bottom shelf, Trick or Treat Studios Creature from the Black Lagoon mask, which I just recently picked up because it has been announced that it is being discontinued. So this is something that I wanted to get over the last couple of years. Never had it as a priority until they announced that it was going away. You see the Diamond Select Creature from the Black Lagoon figure, and then the Factory Entertainment Creature from the Black Lagoon fossil hand. Now, online right now, this is going for $700. This one is signed by Rico Browning, who played the creature, so you can imagine that this is going for a lot more than $700. Creature from the Black Lagoon and the Wolfman, as I mentioned, are probably my 2 favorite Universal monsters. So that's it for this side of the room, and we'll take a look at the back wall next.
Okay, now we're going to move over to the back wall that you've seen on several of our shows, starting with Pennywise. He's 6 foot tall. And not turned on, because if he was, he'd leap up and hit the ceiling and probably break. He is from Spirit Halloween, along with his little kidnapped victim below, and that's Mommy's little secret. Now we're going to look at the back wall, starting with the animatronic replacement head for Sam that we took a look at earlier. I like the sack head version of Sam, so that stays on display. Rather than putting it in a box, it's on the shelf. Next to it is the Terrifier mask signed by Michael Gianelli from All Hallows Eve when he played Art the Clown, and David Howard Thornton. He's also rocking his cool glasses. Then we have the Michael Myers mask from Halloween Part 1. When I was a kid, I always flipped through the pages of Fangor and other horror magazines that were there, and I always get hung up in the mask section. So it's like, oh man, look at all these cool masks. I really want to own some masks one day. So this is the first mask that was added into the collection. This is why I have several masks. Next to me is another Spirit Halloween doll, maybe animatronic if you want to call it that. It's from Bride of Chucky. They recently released Tiffany not too long ago. It's signed by Brad Dourif and Alex Vincent, who played Andy. And then we have Christina Elise, who signed the Spirit Halloween knife. I like this knife a lot better than the one that it came with it, so I replaced it and had her sign it. Now this awesome little guy here. I was watching 3C films where he was decorating his set and he opened this little gem. And my mouth dropped and I sent Jen a message like, wait till you see this video and see if you can pick out the thing that my mouth drops on. And it was this. This is from the poster of Child's Play 2, which is my favorite Child's Play movie. It's the Jack-in-a-Box, and it works.
Playtime's over.
Oh, I love that. So, had to add that to the collection. Got lucky. I didn't have to order it online. Went to Spirit Halloween the next day, and there it was. One left, and I bought it. We have some of the popcorn buckets and cups from Scream 6 that came out this year. We've already reviewed this on a previous episode of Crypts. Go take a look at that. Then, Stripe. Stripe has been in a lot of our videos in this set and on our previous set. That's my wife's one of her favorite movies, so we had to have Stripe in the collection. And then there's cereal. Who would have thought somebody would be collecting cereal? Now I know there's people that probably go out there and they collect Wheatie boxes, but horror cereal? I have the 3 Funko releases, which is Pennywise, Jason, and Freddy. Didn't want the Elvira one, I just want the slashers. And then of course there's the Strawberries and Scream cereal that was released in the UK only. You know, the thing that we talked about for like 6 months on the quest for 5,000 subscribers and we couldn't get. It's signed by Matthew Lillard, Rose McGowan, and David Arquette. So if we can get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year, I'm still willing to give it away. I know Jen doesn't want to give it away anymore, but hey, you get 5,000 subscribers by the end of this year, it's gone. So it could be yours. We have some masks from Strangers. We have the mask from Happy Death Day and the one from The Purge. So we're going to look at this other side right here real quick. And what we have up top is Captain Spaulding, signed by Sid Haig. Now, my daughter, Sophia, was always afraid of clowns when she was younger until she met Sid Haig. Rest in peace. Nicest guy ever. He charged $10 for an autograph. He didn't care what agents told him to charge. That's what he charged, $10, and pictures were free. Real nice guy to talk to. Then Leslie Vernon's mask. Can't say it enough. Sam, Leslie Vernon, and Art the Clown, 3 best slashers of this century. This is signed by Kane Hodder, Robert Englund, Nathan Basil, and Angelo Goethals. If you have not seen that movie and you like Scream, this might be a slight bit better than that when it comes to the meta style. Excellent movie. Go check it out.
Molly from the house, hanging her in the farm's apple orchard.
You have no idea how much cardio I have to do. It's ridiculous. There's that whole thing of making it look like you're walking, and everybody else is running their asses off.
Everybody thinks we just wake up one morning and start obsessing about a girl and start stalking her, killing everybody that gets in the way.
That does seem to happen a lot with you guys.
Now, Taylor Gentry, who is played by Angela Goethals, she was in Home Alone. She's the one that says the French line that I'm not going to be able to say right now. But she is the perfect bridge from the final girls that we had in the 70s and the 80s to what we have now. Perfect bridge. So definitely check out that film. Up top, we have the Jigsaw mask, because if it's Halloween, it's Saw. That is signed by Shawnee Smith, and it is also signed by Tobin Bell. Now, we talked about this on our Saw Pop 5, so if you haven't seen that, Detective Hoffman, the guy that plays him, scares the hell out of me. I seen him in real life at Monster Mania, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna go that way, because he is pretty frightening. But if he does show up at a con, I would like to get the remaining disciples of Jigsaw to sign that. Then we have the MTV Scream mask. That's signed by Bex. Now, I know it made an appearance somewhere in Scream 6 on the train, I believe. It would have been really cool to see a Ghostface attack during Halloween wearing a different mask, and it should have been that one. Next is another trick-or-treat item. This is signed by Quinn Lord. It is a trick-or-treat pumpkin by Ian's Pumpkins. He does some amazing designs. It does light up. I should probably start lighting it up in some future episodes. Maybe. But that's a cool item. And then, of course, this little fucker from The Gate. Oh boy, scary, scary movie. In the 80s, we had a movie about these little minions coming up from the ground, unleashing hell, literally, on a house. And when I saw it in the theaters, the film reel melted, which made the movie a lot more scary, especially at the scene where it happened at. But this is from Amok Toys, aka Monstars. Love it. There's not that many things out there from The Gates. Hopefully I'll be able to get the vinyl with the satanic cover on it to go with it. When we first moved here, we added, just to fill some space here, the Return of the Living Dead jigsaw puzzle in the canister from the movie. Now, I'm not going to put together the jigsaw puzzle. The reason being is the last time I did that, I was getting ready to glue it, put my second hard piece of cardboard on the top of it, pressed them together, went to flip it, it all fell out. That was it. It was done. Haven't done a jigsaw puzzle since then. Then, from Mac the Knife Man is this Tales from the Crypt Keeper lamp. Now, this was selling at Kmart back in the day during their Halloween sales. $10. Now you'd be lucky if you can get it for under $150. Now, it comes with a book that he is reading, because when we were kids, this is the guy that told us bedtime stories every Sunday. And since we got this, it is now signed. Yes. So we upgraded that little bad boy. One of the first more expensive items that we purchased, this was for my wife. It is Gizmo. It is also signed by Zach Gallagher, whatever his name is. But that is signed. It's a puppet from Gremlins. Gizmo. A little bit lower, we have Living Dead dolls. We only have 2 in the collection. It is Annabelle, because even though it's not Raggedy Ann or Anna or Andy, whatever her name is, Raggedy Ann, yeah, that's it. She's a lot creepier than Raggedy Ann. But I cannot let her out of the box. My wife won't let her. She's afraid of the doll. Just like the Talk to Me hand that I want to purchase by A24 Films. Another Sam on a pumpkin statue. This is also from Spirit Halloween. They have a few statues that are out. They have the Michael Myers one, they have a Ghostface one, but this is the best of the 3. More cereal. We have Good Guys cereal, not by Funko. And then Art Krispies.
New Art Krispies from Sugar Plum. Fun little surprises in every bite. Glass, insects, and razor blades. There's no telling what you may find. Special prize included in every box.
Wow, I wonder what I got.
This is the only cereal that you've seen here that is completely empty. Now, originally, I had not intended on buying this. I wanted to get the slate to have it signed by the cast, but unfortunately, Fuzz on the Lens didn't have them in. So I went with this, and this is signed by several cast members as well. We have the Reanimator box. This is by Nightmares Unlimited. It is signed by Jeffrey Combs, who played Dr. Herbert West. It usually lights up. I don't know how to replace the batteries in this. So I have to email Mark from Nightmares Unlimited to figure out how I can go ahead and get this lit. Reanimator, one of the best zombie films made. Another Amok Time toy exclusive and creation. It is a critter. We have this TV from Target. Back when Target actually had good Halloween decorations, now they're just like meh. Dexter. And then we have the Terrifier 2 barf bag. So there's 4 of them that are out. This is the other one. It's just over here. Again, I have to find a spot for it where it needs to go. And then, of course, we have some bats from Negan. Those are the Lucille's. We got the clean version. We got the bloody version, which I have to add some scalp to for Glenn. And then I have a good guy ruler.
You've been very naughty, Miss Kettlewell.
Before we get over to the other cabinets, we're going to talk about this guy down here on the tricycle. And that is Billy the Puppet, of course. Took me a few years to get a tricycle, not because they're not available, but because I wanted the one with the big tire, the antique one. But unfortunately, that's not available anywhere. So, got Billy the Puppet from Trick or Treat Studios, and he's just cool. Come on, look at that. And then, of course, we have the Norman Reedus Angel Wings vest. Now, this was a present to Jen. It's signed with his initials. Remember, we talked about it. He used to sign his full name, and then when you got a line that's like 5 and 6, 7 hours long, you have to speed it up because there's a lot of people that want to see that guy. So this here is signed, it's framed. Love it, got the certificate for it and everything else. And then inside the case is the bracelets that Norman Reedus gave my daughters when they were 4 and 5 years old, because they cried when they see them. Didn't know who he was. They didn't watch Walking Dead at the time, but they knew my wife was excited, so they kind of cried. And he's like, "Oh my God, let me go ahead and find something to give them." So he gave them those bracelets. Now, if I would have gave it to my daughters when they were 4 and 5, guess what would happen? They'd be gone. They would not be around to this day. Just ask my one daughter, Kira, about where her 5 Nights of Freddy figures are. They're all gone. So they're in this case, and maybe, probably not, I'll give them to him one day. But right now, it's safe and secure in here with the Norman Reedus vest. That's where it's going to stay for a while. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to take a look at this other side of cabinets.
Okay, so we're starting on this side of the room now. We're taking a look at the next 3 cabinets. Starting at the top, we have the Rose McGowan signed Cherry Darling gun from Neca. They do some great replica props. The one thing that I want to get is the Freddy vs. Jason hand over the Jason mask prop. That is just amazing. That's a crown jewel in my collection. We do have the Merle hand, and you know what? I'm not too crazy about this because the quality is just not there. It is made by Think Geek, so the plastic is a little cheap. I think it'd be awesome to have Michael Rooker sign it, and then maybe I'll enjoy it a little bit more. We have a Terrapin beer, Blood Orange for The Walking Dead, and then we have 2 wine bottles. Now these wine bottles are pretty cool because they're AR labels, so if you download the app, the label actually comes to life when you actually hold your phone over it. In the top shelf, some Walking Dead Todd McFarlane box sets. Now, the one that you see there, which is the zombie with the screwdriver in the eye, that is a bit of a bribe, right? So my daughters wanted to watch The Walking Dead, and I caved to my wife and letting them watch The Walking Dead if I bought that box set. So bought that box set. It is just so cool. It opens up, the movies are inside, and then to the left of that we have the Tree Zombie, I believe, which is from season 4. That is my second favorite box set that McFarlane put out. And then of course we have the fish tank heads that the governor would watch. Now, again, this ties into the whole thing with Todd McFarlane. Like, he started putting these out, and then eventually he stopped making them. And when I reached out to McFarlane Toys to see if they were going to make any more collector sets, they said, no, we're not exploring that at this time. We have some bobbleheads from my friend Brian, who gave me the Spider-Man poster, and then we have this zombie head candle from the Walking Dead supply drop box. Okay, on the shelf below it, you'll see the Half Moon album, which was the character that Ryan Hurst played, Beta. So he was a country musician before the zombie apocalypse, and this was one of the albums that he released. To the right of that, we have the Terrapin Walking Dead Blood Orange beer, and then to the left of that, we have the Lucille Walking Dead beer. Both were okay. We have a couple of the extra large Walking Dead figures. Those are alright. As I mentioned with McFarlane figures, they do tend to have a problem with standing up, so these figures will tend to fall fairly often. A Kings County badge that Rick wore, and that is from New York Comic Con. Walker Stalker badge. I think it may have been the last Walker Stalker that took place before they went belly up because of all the problems that they had. And then there are some of those Funko mini mystery pack figures that I was talking about on last week's episode. So these are just so cool. On the shelf below, the Walking Dead action figures, and this is really where we concentrated on collecting 10 years ago, was getting these figures. We were all a big fan of it, the entire family, so we had started buying these figures up, as many as we could find. And again, it's just the McFarlane quality of these figures are okay. You know, some of them look really good, but when it comes to the weapons and how he has some of the accessories, they're just crap. Like some of these gun straps, you have to insert them into a little peg, and the pegs don't always hold, and the guns and the hands don't always line up. It almost reminds me of Bob Liefeld bad hand drawings. That's how some of these figure hands are. They're just horrible. So I like them for what they are, and you know, it's kind of like the love for the series. My love for these figures have kind of just waned over the years. The next shelf down, we see the second size edition of Walking Dead figures that are out there. Then there is some of the Lego edition Walking Dead figures. Not really Lego, it's the McFarlane version of Legos. Those are cool. We had the prison at one point, but it's too big and it kept falling apart, so that's not in here. So we have the Winnebago, Daryl's bike scene, and the Governor room. On the bottom shelf, we have some more Blu-ray box sets, some more varying sizes of the action figures, and then we have the Walking Dead Here's Negan hardcover book that came out. Haven't opened it, so we're big fans of Negan here, and yeah, but this is the Walking Dead collection. In our next shelf, on the top shelf, we have the Halloween The Night He Came Home Neca box set. Crown jewel in many people's collections. This was a Christmas present from my son and my wife. Love this. I was so tempted to take it out of the box, but I did not, so it's going to stay in the box. It's one of the few things that I am keeping inside its package. We have the Funko Michael Myers and House set, and then we have this custom knife made, which is a replica from Halloween 1, the original film, and this is signed by almost the entire cast from that film, with exception to Jamie Lee Curtis. So maybe one day she'll do a con on the East Coast. I know she doesn't tend to do them, but that's the signature I need on this to complete it. I have everybody else's signature, including John Carpenter's. Just under that is the Danielle Harris signed mask that she wore as a kid. Love that movie. Then we get into the NECA Ultimate figures. This bush that I made from Hobby Lobby just so that I can stick a Michael Myers figure behind that. But we have Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween 2018, we Halloween Kills, and then Laurie Strode and Dr. Loomis Ultimate figures. The knife that you see here is another custom made knife, and that is for Rob Zombie's Halloween. Now, we had a base that this sat on, and it's actually signed too, but unfortunately the base is kind of warped, so I don't have the base on display, and hopefully I can figure out how to unwarp the wood so that I can put it on display again. Otherwise, I'm going to need to get another signature on this knife to replace the one that is now ruined. Then we have a shelf of slashers. So what you'll see on this shelf and the shelf below it is the chalices first. So you'll see here there is the Leatherface chalice. I have a Ghostface one, a Jason one, and a Freddy Krueger one. But let's talk about the figures. Texas Chainsaw Massacre NECA figures and Movie Maniacs or cult classics. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 figures, followed by an autographed metal plate for Chop Top, and that's something that Bill Moseley sells at his table, and he put a quote on it, you know, lick my plate. Behind that, you'll see a My Bloody Valentine tap, and then to the right of it, Leslie Vernon. We have a few Jason figures. My wife is a big fan of Freddy vs. Jason, so we had to have that figure in there. The Jason in the back, I actually came across that at a comic book store for $5, so I picked that up. We have my favorite Jason, which is Steve Dash from Part 2, and then My Bloody Valentine, The Miner, which I love that slasher film. I think it's a little bit unappreciated to this day even. Now as we continue on our slasher journey, so we have a Movie Maniacs Psycho figure, which, you know what, just watched Psycho 2 for the first time and damn, that movie is good. Maybe even better than the first one. Some real toys, aka Neca Devil Reject figures. So we have Captain Spaulding, Otis, and Baby Firefly, and then I recently added Tiny to the mix. We have some more NECA figures, Billy from Silent Night, Deadly Night, Ghostface. I just missed out on the New York Comic Con Ghostface figure. Puppet Master toys, which thank God they announced that they're releasing more, because I was like, oh, here we go, it's going to be like McFarlane, we're not going to get any more, we're only going to get these 4. Behind them, Chucky figures and Tiffany. And then finally, a cult classic Jigsaw figure. So there's 2 of these. There's the one with John Kramer's face, and then there's the one where he's wearing the pig face mask. On the bottom, we have a Candyman hook coming through glass. This was customized for us. It actually has Tony Todd's signature, but as you can see, there's some blood that's dripped down on it. Movie Maniacs Candyman figure, some Funko Pop minis in the back, and then of these great NECA Stephen King It figures. Accessory pack, which is great. Pennywise, both versions. And then towards the back, a Carrie figure. And then we have the Georgie Vogue, which is pretty cool. Now, I am one of the rare people, now even though I have the original Pennywise figure, I do not like the original film. I do like the figure though, and I do like what Tim Curry did for that character, so that's why it's in the collection. You'll see the Room 237 key, as I mentioned in the first part of this video series. This is from The Shining, the board game. And then we have the Shining Twins, which is made by Funko. So I love these. They, I believe, are Target exclusives. On top of the final cabinet, you'll see that I placed the Spirit Halloween Killer Clowns popcorn gun, and we also have the Cotton Candy gun, which is autographed by Grant Kramer and Suzanne Snyder. So they played Mike and Debbie in the film. Spirit Halloween Funko exclusive. Movie moment where Shorty jumps out of the pizza box. The pie from Spirit Halloween, and then we have the puppets. Spirit Halloween has just been killing it when it comes to Killer Clowns merch. Now inside the cabinet, Freddy Krueger stuff. In fact, this entire cabinet is all Freddy Krueger stuff.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them. Nightmare on Elm Street. No! No! She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails, no one will survive.
Help me, please!
Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street, rated R.
Now playing at a flagship theater near you.
So we're going to talk about the thing that you see in the center, and that is the Conshohocken Nightmare on Elm Street pumpkin bear. It's good, it's okay. And then the video game edition from NECA Freddy figure, a Living Dead doll Freddy that I came across for dirt cheap, so I picked that up. And in the way back there, an 80s costume. So that is the fantastic plastic mask that straps on with some elastic and has a vinyl outfit that you would wear with it. We have the phone from Part 1, and then we have this great figure here that is made by, I think the company is called Artifacts, but it is Freddy Krueger from Nightmare on Elm Street for the Dream Master. We have the dogs from the NECA Ultimate figure, and I had to separate them out because you're going to see just below we have a series of Nightmare on Elm Street figures. But before we get to that, here is the Freddy vs. Jason Neca Real Toys set. It is signed by Robert Englund, and we look to have this signed by Ken Kersinger within the next couple of weeks. Behind that is the Hot Fiction Nightmare on Elm Street 3 glasses, and they are releasing a set of Billy and Stu for Scream. The boiler from the accessory pack for Nightmare on Elm Street. We have Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, which honestly the movie is not the greatest, but I think that is one of the scariest versions of Freddy in the films. We have this sticker album that I had when I was a kid. In fact, we have two of these. One of them, Jen and I are actually putting the stickers in. Then we have the die-cast metal car below that. And here is all of the action figures that we have. So slowly adding all of the figures in that are out there. So what you'll see is Freddy from various films wearing various outfits. I almost feel like I'm collecting Barbie dolls at this point. But yeah, I love Freddy Krueger, like I mentioned. I believe it's Jen and I's favorite film, but you know, then again, it could be Jaws at certain times of the year. So it's a very close one. And then on the bottom we have the puppet from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. We have a sealed version of the Nightmare on Elm Street board game because I had to have one to have in the collection, and then I had to have one to play. Then we have this large size Freddy from part 3 as well, and then LJN's rubber Freddy figure. LGN, man, back in the 80s, they were doing a lot. They were making video games, they were making toys, they were just all over the place. So this figure is pretty cool. My wife wanted to open it, but I kind of talked her out of it, so it's still in the package because I don't see many of these out there. So that is the entire collection in all of our cabinets.
That's it. Thank you for joining us for the 3-part season finale of Crypts Season 2 and taking a tour of my collection over these last 3 episodes. Wow, a lot of stuff, right? Had to skip over some things, or it would have been like 3 hours worth of footage just on the collection. So before you go, make sure you drop a like on this video. If you're not subscribed, please do that. And 31 Days of Halloween is just around the corner, so be sure to come back for a lot of goodies. Anyway, until the next, see ya.